We are live. Hello, everybody. Darren Taylor here, as always, and welcome back to Presoteric. This will be the third live stream now that we're doing here on the page. Things are progressing very, very well. And today is the day that the poll that we put out last week is officially finished, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about that. We have the new setup, the new studio. Before we jump into this, I just want to apologize if you guys hear any background noise. It's not exactly soundproofed as of yet, and unfortunately we do have some pretty noisy neighbors. So, without any further ado, let's jump straight into it. So, last week, exactly 1 week ago today, I put out a poll on our Facebook page, which has been shared to several different other places. And in that poll, now, Facebook's polling system on pages is not ideal. You get two options. I used to remember there was an option to add more before, but for some reason that's now only two options. So we had to ask a general yes or no question. So take everything in this with a pinch of salt. But we asked the question, do you think that magic can be explained by the science that we understand today? Again, a very general question, and there was a lot of people who expressed in the comment section on various different places how general this was, and so a lot of answers will have been influenced by the fact that there was not a third option. But I thought that it would be a good chance to look at the results, but also look at some of the some of the comments that people made about their choice. So, first of all, we reached over 1,000 people on this poll. The exact number is 1,007 people in the past 7 days, which is amazing. We didn't think we were going to reach that many people proactively engaging with this poll. So that's great for a start. Now, the ending percentage, and it was pretty close from the beginning. One of the things that surprised me the most about this poll, and I'll throw a link down up in the description, actually, so you guys can find it once this is finished. Or I'll maybe try and post it in the comments section. No, I can't do that. I'll do that later. One of the things that surprised me the most about this poll was the fact that it stayed almost 50-50 the entire week. I was expecting it to shift one way or the other. I was expecting more people to say no, that science can't be explained by science, than there was people who say that it could. And the ending percentage is 47% of people, which by our vote count, out of 1,007 people, that's 474 people who said that they think that magic can be explained by the science we understand today. Or at least in the general vicinity of, yes, magic can be explained by science. And 53% said that it can't, or that one of the most common answers we got was that science isn't advanced enough to understand magic yet. So don't take this as a yes or no 100% definite answer. There are a lot of conditions based on the answers that people gave. But we can say with a level of certainty that the majority of the community is pretty split on this topic. I don't want to say the topic is polarized, but it seems that the community is 50-50. Now, this poll was shared to several different areas of the community. A lot of chaos magicians partook in this, ceremonial magicians, pagans, people from all different traditions. We deliberately put this out to a very diverse group, right-hand path, left-hand path, and everything in between, so that we could get the most well-rounded, at least a general idea of what the entire community, and obviously there's going to be some people who weren't represented or whatnot, but as a general kind of statistic, what can we make general statements about, conclusions from this poll? And I'm very surprised. We could say with some level of accuracy that half the community sees magic as scientific, and half of them see it as not scientific. Again, there's going to be differences in those percentages. It's not going to be exactly down the middle. There is going to be a one-sided, probably more on the side of not scientific. But based on the 1,007 people who answered, we're looking at almost an exact 50-50, a 47% to a 53%, which is amazing. Yes and no, yes, magic can be explained by science, took a lead quite early on and quite quickly turned back around again. And I'm very surprised that it stayed that 50-50. Now, let's look at some of the comments. I have it pulled up here because a lot of the answers to this poll were dependent upon certain conditions. I'm not going to read out any names just because obviously people are going to want to keep their anonymity. But there were a few well-known magicians and practitioners who had cast in their vote. And I was always surprised to see which people would go for. So that was very surprising. So one of the first comments up here on the original post, and obviously I'm not going to mention everyone's comments because there are so many. We have the means to understand, but modern mainstream science doesn't have the willingness to. And I thought that this was one of the most accurate statements about science and magic. It's beginning to, but not completely, so I can't answer yes or no. Statements are too broad. You're trying to say that something which is ongoing and not completely understood can definitively explain something else which is not completely understood. Again, very, very good points. A good friend of mine said that science is still too young to understand. I don't know how to answer this because most of the science we have to back up is theoretical. Promising still remains to be proven. You guys need to work on your grammar a little bit. I mean, to be fair, so do I. My grammar, this is why I have an editor. I said no because we have only discovered 4 of the 6 elements that hold the universe together. We have yet to work with what they call dark matter or antimatter. We have just scratched the surface of vibratory energy manipulation and are just now understanding magnetic manipulation. For example, the use of magnets to hold plasma and so on. The science we have today explains our reality, kinda, but it hasn't really hit on real world magic, only digital magic. One of the things that I replied to this saying is that, are you aware of the periodic table? And this is something that I find the community doesn't do enough of. We have a lot of fire, earth, water, and air. I want to see someone take the periodic table and implement that somehow into magic. And who knows, maybe even we'll do it. Maybe we'll explore that as a topic for Presoteric. Again, more people are saying that we need a partial option, and I would have loved to give that. I do believe that science will, and to at least a partial degree, currently explain magic and the energy manipulators behind it. And as more science starts to expand outward into occult fields, versus outright dismissal, we'll see yet another golden age in the realm of science and progression of humanity and human consciousness. There are areas of magic and science concur, but science is still way behind in magic. Another good friend of mine. Sometimes I wish I had a ton of expendable cash for brainwave monitoring devices and such. Western science doesn't at this time want to seriously invest the money and effort. But yes, I do think the ability is at our fingertips to give some solid credibility to spiritual practice. Parapsychology is the closest modern science comes to trying to understand magic and the paranormal. However, it is still not respected in general, and in itself seems to be academic and focusing upon statistics. Those I have encountered include, I'm not going to mention names, promote new age ideas, and even discourage people from magic. It's weird to experience. And this is one of the things that I've actually come across with some of my own work. For those of you who don't really know a lot about my backstory, one of the biggest breakthroughs that I had was inspired by, well, technically several people, but one of those main people was Darren Brown, similar name to myself. And I've always been a very big fan of Darren Brown. For those of you who don't know who he is a hypnotist mainly in the UK who does a lot of experiments and shows around the UK. If you go on YouTube and type him in, you'll find a lot of his full documentaries and stuff up there. And he's explored a lot of these psychological areas, specifically to do with psychics and tarot readers and all the kind of mystical stuff, including faith healers. And there's a lot about his work that inspired a lot of my breakthroughs, not just to understand magic, but understand the mechanisms behind that. And that's actually formed the foundation, along with obviously some other things, my foundation for magic as a whole. One of the things that Darren Brown goes out of his way to do is somewhat almost to disprove psychic ability and spiritual practices. And don't get me wrong, I agree with a lot of the things that he says. I agree with a lot of the points that he makes. But it feels sometimes that he's going out of his way to disprove something rather than simply giving a different perspective on how it actually works. And of course, obviously, it depends on the perspective you take while watching his stuff. I would love to sit down and actually have a conversation about this stuff with him. And in fact, maybe one day we'll have him on a podcast or something. That would be awesome. But his work inspired a lot of what we do here at Presoteric. Now, we're not looking necessarily to disprove magic. We're simply to look behind the curtain, if you will, strip away the subjective and look at the evidence of what is actually there. And so this is where our work really comes in. We're looking to take the scientific method, specific scientific method, and apply that to our studies in magic and conduct our own experiments. Myself and the rest of the team here at Presoteric are working on several different experiments that we're going to be conducting. And I'm not just talking about us sitting in a room and doing some stuff with a couple of recording devices. No, we're hiring people to partake in actual experiments that we're going to record and document and test. And there are 2 that we're working on right now, which are going to be huge when we release. And we're going to be releasing, I'm not going to tell you what any of them are, just so I don't give it away, because we might actually want to use some of you guys in those experiments. But we have 2 that we're working on, and one of them is currently in the works of getting made into a documentary, which we're going to be releasing through Presoteric. So we're not here just to sell you books. Sorry, I'm going to kind of blow my nose a bit there. Got a bit of a cold coming on. Presoteric doesn't exist just to sell you books. I've been an author for the past 2-3 years, and I've never been interested in just only books. I want to release content. I want to release information and truly share with you guys my experiences and kind of my experiments, the things that I document along my own journey. And I think that a documentary is just such a great way to do that, to take you guys on a journey through these concepts and really break it all down for you and show you what's behind the curtain. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be doing very often here at Presoteric. We're looking to set up events and live shows where we can demonstrate a lot of this stuff to you. Because it's one thing for me to sit here behind a camera and tell you all of the things that I think and all the things that we theorize and all the things that we document. It's a different thing to actually take you on an experience through that so that you can see visually exactly what we are talking about. And I think that that's just as important as any piece of written content that we could produce. So we're putting a lot of priority onto that as in our project. So that's the results of the poll. I'm not going to read too many more just because this could go on forever. We're already reaching almost 15 minutes now. But what does this mean for Presoteric? Well, I'm surprised by the results. I think that a lot of other people on the staff are also surprised with the results. But this doesn't change anything we are doing. We are still going to be approaching magic through the scientific method. And because of this poll, because of the results in here, we kind of know what to expect. We see that the community is 50-50. So we're going to see if our work can maybe shine some light on the things that people have talked about in the comments section, try and explain magic through science. If anything, I was kind of hoping that nobody or very few people would say that it could be explained by science, because that gives me much more of a challenge in actually showing you guys the science behind all this. So, but it's also given me a little bit of comfort knowing that there are more people out there who share the same view as myself and the people on the team here. So there is definitely a community out there who's looking for a system of scientific magic, and we are here to produce that for you. So if you guys want to join in our next polls, we're going to be doing one every week. So there's always going to be a poll active. The same day that a poll closes, we're going to be either starting a new one on the same day or maybe the day after, depending. So there's always going to be a poll active for you to partake in. And that's one of the things that we want to bring home with Presoteric. We want to get you guys involved. A lot of companies don't have a relationship with their audience. A lot of companies just put their polls out there, put their content out there, and then that's it. They turn the switch off. We want to hear what you think. your thoughts and your opinions are valued. And being able to look at those and get you guys involved with our experiments is so much more worthwhile. This is a community effort. This is not one guy sitting behind a camera talking to people. This is a group project where we're looking as a community to make things better and to evolve. And evolution isn't singular. I want us to evolve together. And through this new system of Presoteric, we are going to do just that. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I'm going to leave it here. I don't want to ramble on for too long, which everybody knows I have the tendency to do. But I want to thank you all for joining me. Additionally, I just want to give a little bit of a shout out to a course that we just dropped not too long ago called Mind and Matter. And it's just a very basic audio course that focuses on the foundations of magic through the scientific method. It goes through a 3-principle format, tells you how ritual works, how you can start doing it, and shows you how to create your own rituals and understand all the bits and bobs in between. So if you want to get a hold of that, go to gumroad.com/presoteric and you will find the course there, as well as the various other things that we offer. Additionally, if you want to speak to myself, I do offer consultations on Gumroad as well. So be sure to check those out if you guys want to get some more information. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I am Darren Taylor, and until next time, stay true and stay awesome.